How many of you have anger? 1, 2, everybody. So what are you angry about? Where did your anger come from?
I don't know.
You just had it all your life?
Yeah.
Don't you think at 14 you're too young to have anger?
Yeah.
You want to overcome it?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to show you how to overcome it.
Okay.
Because at 14 you should be having fun, not anger. All right? For those who don't know, there were 5 police officers killed in Dallas the other day. What day was that? Thursday of last week. And 7 wounded. And there was a killing of a black man in Minnesota and one in New Orleans by white officers. Well, they're saying the one in Minnesota wasn't a white officer, it was an Oriental or something like that, right? An Asian guy or something. Am I right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't white, according to the report. I don't know a lot about that story in Minnesota, but after those incidents happened, Black Lives Matter and others started marching around the country, and so they had some black guy end up killing 5 police officers and wounded 7. And then there was another attack in Atlanta somewhere.
Yeah.
And then down in Selma, Alabama, I was told that a white cop was ambushed and a couple of black guys called 911. The officer showed up and they tried to kill him. They started shooting at him. Now, I haven't verified that story. Someone told me that they live in the area, so I don't know. Were you surprised at the killing of the cops?
Well, no, I wasn't surprised because.
Why not?
Well, just looking around that we, those of us who believe in, see things happening, is that there's a conspiracy to bring us under this, martial law kind of things, constantly trying to take away the guns from Americans. So we just see the horizon seems to show that we're in for big trouble because the government wants to shut us all down.
Oh, okay.
Including the Black Lives Matter after they do their job.
Let me ask why you raise your hand and say you still have anger. Why are you holding on to it?
I'm not holding on to it. It just erupts.
You're not holding on to it, it just erupts.
Yes. In other words, I'm going along pleasantly, and then all of a sudden, like I was driving up today, and I'm driving up. So then I'm just happy as I could be. So this guy, he comes charging up behind me, and he jumps on the side, and he's acting all weird. So I just got angry.
You were walking or driving?
Oh, driving.
And you just got angry?
Well, I mean,
and so your happiness left, and now you're angry?
Well, I don't know that I'm angry, but I just I just didn't like that. So I thought that, so I don't know if you call that anger or if you just call it.
So he drove up next to you?
Yes.
And messed up your happy morning?
Well, no, it didn't mess up my morning, but it was just like, I looked over at him and I went,
You did? And were you able to come back to your happiness after a while?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it just was like the momentary thing, and then I turned the corner and I parked and I was fine.
So Satan said, I'm going to see how happy you are. And he had this guy to drive up and irritate you.
He did.
Yeah, okay. You have your hand?
Yeah,
Okay.
even with everything that's happening in the world, the news, when the news is reporting and you hear all these stories, how do you know what to believe? How do you know?
That's a good question.
Like, how,
you want
how
to be
do you
able
know?
to see it for yourself without having to hear what I or James
Even though I can see it after
James
you
or
say
I
it.
think about it.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. Do you have anger?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to tell you how in a minute.
Okay.
That's a very, very good question. Did you have your hand in?
Yeah.
Okay. But by the way, James is the radio producer. That's why everybody's talking about it. He's very popular now. I went down to Alabama, and they all wanted to see James.
So you're always asking people, why do they hold on to anger?
Right.
But are they holding on to it, or is the anger holding on to them?
Do you have anger?
Yeah.
Is it holding on to you, you hold on to it?
I don't know. It feels like both.
It does?
Uh-huh.
It feels like you're holding on to it, and it's holding on to you.
Yeah, like
And how are you holding on to it?
I'm uncontrollably holding on to it. It feels
Uncontrollably. That's deep. You want to let it go?
I mean, it would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes when I'm in the middle of it, I don't really want to.
right. Well, I'll tell you in a minute. That's a good question. Are you holding on to it, or is holding on to you, or both?
Yeah.
I think a little both.
Okay.
And the reason I think a little both is because if we truly wanted to overcome it, then God will remove it. But when it comes, you have to put up no resistance against it at all. When you feel anger, you can't judge yourself for being angry. You can't be happy or sad about being angry. You can't say, oh boy, I thought I was free. You just have to relax and take it. And when you do that, then God can come in and remove that spirit from you. But most angry people are reacting to being angry, especially those who want to overcome anger.
Yeah.
And that's what the problem. You can't react to it because it's spiritual, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you really, really know that, then you can overcome it. He'll take it away from you.
So then I did okay this morning.
No, that was horrible.
It was not. It was. I recognized it, and then I had my rant, and I stopped.
But you have to recognize it before it happened.
What do you mean?
Because if you don't have it at all, then if someone surprised you, you're one with the Father, so you're aware enough not to overreact at all.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it come. So what if I saw it
But you didn't see it coming, you saw it after you had done it.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you gave the guy a bad look face,
Yes.
you made an ugly face, right? And so you carry the whole thing out.
So, okay.
But yet you shouldn't beat yourself up about it.
Oh,
Just
no,
realize,
I
you know,
didn't.
whatever, you were wrong for doing it that way.
Okay.
And then you'll get another chance.
So
Because one thing about life, you don't move forward until you overcome.
right. So when I get another chance, I need to
You need to be more aware.
just be more aware. So
Yeah,
then,
instead of driving down the road all caught up with your happiness, you should have been aware.
so just be aware.
Because
something can
happiness is just like anger. It can seduce you too.
happen. Okay.
It puts you in a state of unconsciousness.
Okay.
Because you're driving down the road, you're not aware of where you are. You're thinking about something that was making you happy. Oh, you know, I got a new boyfriend. Or I went out on a hot date last night. You know, you're thinking about happy stuff, right?
Right.
And so you were unconscious. And so here come the driver out of nowhere and you lose it. You see my point?
Yes.
But the key is not to be mad about losing it.
Okay.
Take the pain of knowing that you lost it.
All right.
Yeah.
Will do.
Anger is a very, very interesting being, a spiritual being. And I've come to realize how it can deceive you in ways that is mind-blowing. Like the young lady was saying, well, how do I see these things and know it for myself without having to wait to hear what you or James think about it? I want to be able to see it for myself, when no angry person is going to be able to see it for themselves. You're not going to be able to see it until God takes that spirit away from you. Now, you'll see that in the physical is wrong, blah, 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 right? But you're not going to see the depths of what's going on. For example, I was thinking about anger this morning, and I was thinking about how Black Lives Matter and others are running around the country saying the cops are killing us, Black Lives Matter, no other life matter but Black lives. You can't even say white lives or any other life matter. And so, as whenever there's an incident that we saw, like what we saw in Louisiana and Minnesota, these people come out of the woodwork. All of a sudden, it's like they come up from the ground, and there are like droves of black people out of nowhere rallying and protesting, no justice, no peace. I'm like, where did these people come from? And they only come out of the woodwork when it's white on blacks, especially white officers on black people. And so I'm thinking, it's amazing that anybody can justify what Black Lives Matter people are doing. They're the most radical, agitative, evil organization on this side of heaven. But yet, they're like the number one group to go to now. And they could have rallies just like that all around the country. But if you notice, when it comes to abortion, there are no rallies about black unborn children. And every day, anywhere between 15 to 1,800 black babies are aborted. But there are no rallies about that at all. You hold a rally in front of Planned Parenthood, you barely get 10 blacks to show up. You're definitely not going to get droves and droves of them to show up like they do when it's white on black. So why is it that black unborn children don't matter? And there's a genocide upon black unborn children. Most of the 70% of abortion mills are located in the inner city. 70%. But no protest from no so-called leader, no Black Lives Matter. Black lives doesn't matter when Planned Parenthood is killing the unborn child. Have you thought about that? Black lives doesn't matter in the urban areas. Chicago and Detroit and Gary, Indiana and South Central LA. Black people are killing each other like 90 going north. I heard a report, I wish I had brought it with me so I could be real clear about it, that one day last week or the week before, for the first 15 hours of the day in Chicago, there were 2 killings for every hour in Chicago, black on black crime, for 15 hours. Nobody came out of the woodwork to protest. There were no rallies, there were no Black Lives Matter, why this is happening, blah, blah, blah. They didn't call it racist. They said nothing about it. And can you imagine how that situation would change if the number of black people showed up to Planned Parenthood or in the urban areas to stop the black killing? That would have an impact just like that. But they don't show up for that. They don't call that racist. They don't do anything. And I wonder, why is it that they don't care about that? Why is it that they only care when it's white on black and when it's a white police officer? And I've been saying for the last 26 years that most blacks, not all, but most black people hate white Americans. They literally hate them. And it's been going on for the last 60 years or so. And now it's even worse because it's evil to hate. And each generation gets worse and worse at it. And so they hate white people. And the proof is in the pudding is that the man that shot up the cops said that he did it because he hates white people and hates white cops. Or the other way around. But that's why he did it. And people say, oh, they don't hate. Black people hate white people. Because if they didn't, you wouldn't see what's happening now happening. And if they didn't, it wouldn't be just happening to white folks. They hate white people because they've been lied to and they're angry. It's easy to deceive angry people because they're blind and can't see. Angry people don't really see the reality of what's happening. Even people who know the Bible, who lift up holy hands and praise the Lord, who give tithes and offering, who go to church every day, and they're trying to do their best, they're angry and they can't see. All in the name of Jesus. Because anger blocks you off from God. Anger is the nature of Satan. And even you end up hurting your own family members, and you don't want to hurt your own children. You don't want to hurt your relationships. But you end up doing it anyway because you have anger. There's no love in anger. None. It's all dead, all evil, all dark. And so I wonder, why are these people doing this? And so I started thinking some more, and I realized that the reason they don't go into the hood and protest and make noise, there's no money in it. There's no power in it. They get nothing. Unless they can convince the government to give some money for a program that they end up with. But they get no money, they get no power, they get nothing. That's why they don't go to, they don't have to go to Planned Parenthood and the National Organization of Women Who Hate Men because those people donate to them anyway. They give them truckloads of money anyway. But if they go in the hood, no money, no power. They can't fire the white man and put their friends in those positions. But when they protest the police, they can get rid of the white police chief, the white police, whatever, the deputies, and put their black friends in there, and they'll get money, and they'll change the order of things. That's why they protest the white people. When they protest white businesses, they threaten to sue them, call them racist, and white people are scared, so they give in. They get money from that, and they get positions on that, sit on the boards and things like that. So that's why they go after the white folk. And white people are afraid, not all, but most. White people are afraid, and they're afraid because they're angry. They are angry at the injustice that's been put up on them, because in reality, they have nothing to do with the condition of black folks today. Black people have something to do with that. It's black people's fault. And whatever happened during slavery or whatever is over. It doesn't even exist anymore. And so white people are afraid to say, no, I don't hate you. It's not racism. And they know that. And anytime your enemy know that you're afraid of him or her, they will beat you up every time. There's no end to the demands that they put up on you. And there's no end to the demands that they're going to continue to put up on white folks until white folks say no, start telling the truth about what's really wrong. And the truth is, most black people are hurting and out of control because they're angry, the destruction of the family, and they have been demoralized. And they have no shame about it. And they are blaming whites because angry people always blame. I can get on some of my friends about some things, and they know I'm right. And they say, oh, it wasn't me, it was somebody else. Right away, they're excuses and blame, because angry people cannot help that. You're of your father, the devil. Put your hand down, boy, I see you. He raised his hand like this, folks, and I see him, and he won't stop. And I'm looking at him. And so, what else I wanted to tell you about it? Oh, and so she mentioned Barack Obama. She's right. He plays a major role in it. Major role. Because he, too, is angry. And I write about him in my book, The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. Barack Obama, like the average black, grew up, he had a white mother. His white mother hated her white folks. She hated her color. And she taught him that America is a racist society. His grandmother, white grandmother, had a negative experience with a black man. She ran into him and something happened and she overreacted. So whenever she spoke about black people, it sounded as though she hated black people. Barack Obama's father lived in Kenya, and he was a Muslim. And before he died, he became an atheist. He went to Hawaii to visit with Barack Obama. When he was in the 8th grade, this guy spoke to his class, and he said white people were racist, to an 8th grade class, and said that white people are racist in America and they're racist in Africa. And being a kid hearing that from your father, you're going to believe it. But the problem is his father wasn't there to raise him, so he has an emptiness. He feels unloved. He feels a void. He has the same feeling that Black Lives Matter have, and anyone who has that does not have good fathers. And when I say good fathers, men who love God with all their heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else. If you don't have that kind of father raising you so you can look at them and see the right way to go, not what you say and what you do, you end up empty. You end up confused in the heart, mind, and body, because Satan is your father. The worst thing that can happen to a child is to be raised by fathers and mothers who don't love what's right. And so Obama has that same void. He's the president of the United States of America. He runs the greatest, the most powerful country in the world, and yet he has no peace. He and that woman he's married, what's her name? Michelle. They fly around the country. They go shopping. Michelle take her mama with her. They eat and do whatever they want. and she loved tamales. But yet they have no peace because they hate their fathers. And that's why Obama can identify with Black Lives Matter. That's why Obama can go to a foreign country and call America a racist society. When he was in, what was he, Poland? Poland, and he said American justice system was racist. I said then he had just started a battle against the cops, and a couple hours later, the shooting happened in Dallas. He knows exactly what he's doing. He can't help it because he's evil. And he knows how to manipulate poor black people who are angry too to get them to do whatever he wants. And then once they go out and kill, he come back and say, oh, we can't have this. We're going to have to investigate the system. And they go and investigate, out goes the white folks, and in come his friends who believe like him. That's what it's all about. It's a spiritual battle. It has nothing to do with racism. Racism doesn't exist. It's all a lie. And our battle is a spiritual battle. It's a warfare between good and evil. You could have anger, and it's so easy to go and someone can teach you something, you just believe it. You'll find yourself mad and everything because they said it. There is not one reason on earth to hate anyone, to be mad at anyone, to even hate your enemy. You can't hate your enemy if you love God, if you are a son or daughter of God. The unfortunate thing is, as the Black Caucus said, they held a press conference, and they said this is going to be a long, hot summer. And they're absolutely right. It's on. And you think the killing in Dallas was bad, and it was. It's going to get worse between now and November. Because if you listen to the debates right now, it's about nothing. Everybody just debating. White folks are really afraid to say what it is, and the stupid, angry blacks are lying. That's not going to change anything. We need some truth out there. It's going to get bad. So I suggest you be ready for it. Because they want to win this election. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but the battle is on. And the only way they can win, they have to have cause all the destruction that they can possibly cause. Put fear in you. And white people have been under attack for a long time. The knockout games, and these young blacks have been robbing them and beating them up and raping them, and in some cases setting them on fire. Nobody done anything. You barely hear about it. The white media won't report it, and the black surely not going to report it. But when it's one white attacking a black, it's all over the news. And I blame the men for it, because we are men of God. If we truly are, we have the courage to protect our families, our community, and our country. And we know that the children of Satan only have lies. They have created this idea that there's racism, and we all been saying it. Racism, I've not heard anyone say racism doesn't exist. We've been told a lie. It's just when you get mad at someone, I can say, and most of you here like me, at least some of you like me some of the time. And let's say you're liking me. I can say something that you disagree with, make you mad, and all of a sudden the light turns to anger, to hate. You don't like me anymore. I'm the same person, but the anger made you see me differently because we disagreed on an issue. But if you didn't have that anger, you could have knocked out, dragged out discussions, and the relationship doesn't change at all because it's all love all the time. You can curse each other out and still be friends, but not with angry people because they are children of the devil. So there's no such thing as racism. It's anger, the nature of Satan. It's evil. And you need to understand that. And so to answer your question about, well, how do I see these incidents happening? And I don't want to have to wait for you and James to say what's really going on. You got to overcome the anger, because that anger is blinding you from the light, from the truth, from God.
Like, I can believe you, what you were saying about Obama and flying around the world and them being what they are. I believe you. I didn't look into all those facts. I don't even feel like I have to. I believe you when you say it.
Right.
So why do we believe those? But those kids believed about the racism?
Well, those kids believe because they're subject to adults. You're believing about this somewhat because you want what's right, but you're not seeing it completely for yourself because the anger that you have is blocking it all, blocking God from allowing you to see it right then and there for yourself. And so you're going to have to overcome that because you shouldn't need me to have to tell you the whole story. The same God that has allowed me to see it, he would show it to you too. The difference is I don't have the anger. He took that away from me, and so he allows me to see. And he'll do the same for you once you allow him to take the anger away. And if you notice, most of the time, the people who can see, they're not going along with the crowd. They see it a little differently than the others do. And most of the time, you have to stand along on that because most people are blind.
So I can still believe you and just
Right.
try to learn and hope I see it for myself. Like when the anger's gone. But I don't know when the anger's gone. I don't know how it's gone.
That's a good.
Or how to let
yeah.
it go. I don't know if because they believe they believe about the racism because they're angry, so they believe that, right?
Yeah,
but I'm also believing good, but I'm angry still.
You believed about the racism because you were told that, you've been hearing it over and over, and because you're angry, you start picking it up and going along with it. And all the way I was able to see that the anger, there's no such thing as racism. It was once God took the anger away, and especially when I was writing this last book. And I realized it's about the family. It's about anger. There's no such thing. The Bible says that our battle is a spiritual battle, a warfare between good and evil, right versus wrong. It's not physical at all.
But I see that when you say it, it's not only that I believe you, but it's I believe you because I see what you're saying is
Right.
true. Like completely see that it's true.
And what is preventing you from relaxing and allowing God to take that anger from you?
I don't know. I think more my main question was like because doubt that I fear. Now say you explained all these facts to me and I believe you, so I know they're true. I believe in them. If someone came to me and asked me about that same story, even though I know it's true, I wouldn't be able to explain myself to them.
Because you
and
would
I feel like doubtful, and
Yeah.
then I feel wrong. But even though I know what I know inside, is it
Yeah.
coming out for some reason?
I totally understand. How many people understand what she's saying? Oh, good. Uh-huh. You said a magic word that helped me to understand it. Did you say, I'll come to you in a minute. Did you say you understood what she was saying?
For me, I realize it's not meant for me to say. If it's not given for me to say, make a comment or do something, then I do and say nothing, because it's not right. Unless it's something obvious, I don't know.
Interesting. Did someone just tell you that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You said you feel the same way she does?
My daughter and her husband are having problems, and she comes to me and she wants to talk about him and stuff. And I said, well, you have to look at yourself. But she's real strong, and she tells me, but it's not me, and can't you see? And so I realize that I can't tell her anything. And so
You know she's not going to listen, so,
no,
you know.
and she twists everything.
Oh, okay.
She makes it sound like it's all his fault, and he keeps giving in to her. And I told him before, but he don't want to hear it either. So I
Okay.
just, you know,
Amazing. And you're a Christian too, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
you're a Christian. Everybody that's talking sometimes. Okay. How can you relate to that, Jack?
The doubt isn't her, it's a lie she's believing. That's why she feels it in her body.
But you have that same issue?
Yes.
You-
And I see it.
And see, that's what the problem is. She doubt. She see what's going on, and Satan comes along to make her doubt it. He'd give her something else to think about, and she believed a lie. And everything that he gives to you is a lie, and it make you doubt what you see to be true because you listen to the wrong voice. You got to stop believing the devil, and you have to always doubt him. Everything, no matter what it is, no matter how nice or how bad it seems or how good it seems, he is a liar, presenting himself as God, and you shouldn't believe anything that he says about anything. So if you observe a situation, just watch that situation, and he's going to be talking to you about it, but you will see it as it is. You'll see it clearly, but he's going to try to make you doubt what you see. It's like family members who have changed. They're no longer like they used to be, but their family knew that they were bad at one point, and so now the person is brand new, and the family member, they haven't changed. I knew when they robbed the bank. I knew when they were a liar. And they have changed, but Satan is saying through them, oh, that person haven't changed. That's what Satan is doing to you. You're watching this thing happen, but he's talking to you too. You got to totally omit or doubt or don't pay attention to anything that he tells you. God said, my children will know my voice. And Satan's voice is not his voice. And most people are not recognizing that. That's where the problem is.
You don't force it on them.
Right.
Because I've done that, forcing on them.
No,
and it
you
has
shouldn't
turned
force.
on
You
me.
shouldn't impose anything on anyone.
Yeah, and when I see they don't want to listen, I won't tell
And
them.
so if they don't want advice from you or to listen to what you have to say, don't even let them come to you with that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But don't be mad and frustrated about it either.
No, I wasn't mad.
Yeah. And especially when someone says, it's my husband, it ain't me, then you know you got an issue there.
Right.
Because one thing I want you to know, once you become a son or a daughter of God, your eyes are always on yourself. It's never on the other person. And if you see what they're doing wrong, it has no impact on you at all. But angry people don't want to. They won't take the blame for that. They'll blame somebody else. The beginning of salvation is knowing thyself. I love knowing myself. And knowing how many people know themselves? Oh, good. You know yourself, Mary? Let me take this here. I'll come back to that. Know thyself.
I had an incident at work where I had a new boss, and I didn't like him, and I judged him. And I noticed that the technicians that I work with, I'm a technician, they would get in groups and they would start talking about the boss.
Yeah.
But because I was angry at him and judging him, when we had a meeting with him, I would bring up some of the things that they had said. And then afterwards, I would say, oh, man, that wasn't even my own thoughts.
That's right.
I got that from them.
Yeah.
So that made me realize that because I judged them, I became, I guess, suggestible to other people, and then I would repeat it. And then it just kind of reminded me of the shooter in Dallas, that because you're angry, and he was listening to other groups and other people that he held up as an authority,
Yeah.
that he carried out their suggestions thinking that it was his own thoughts. So it just reminded me of my situation at work, that
That's a
when you're
very,
angry,
very good. Yeah.
you pick up other people's suggestions and think it's your own thoughts.
And I'm glad you mentioned other people's suggestions, because that's what these angry black people are doing. They're picking up the suggestions from the so-called civil rights movement, from the president, from the liberals, whether black or white, and they think those are their ideas, and they don't realize that they are being used, that they're being seduced to carry out all this evil, but they're not being rewarded at all. They're getting killed. They end up with nothing, and the people who are seducing them are the ones who are taking advantage of it. I was thinking this morning, I don't ever know of Jesse Jackson children going out. They don't even protest in the rallies. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe they have, I'm not. Jesse Jackson go out there and create some mess, but his children are safe. They're going to good schools. I think one of the boys in jail for stealing or something, right? Isn't one of them in jail for embezzlement or something? Yeah, I'm not sure what he did, but I know he in jail. But he wasn't out on no front line margin. He did his stuff out of death. And so the blacks are so angry, they don't even see that. I don't see Barack Obama sending Michelle and their kids out there to yell at the cops. I don't see the Black Caucus family out there. Maxine Ward, I think she has a son or so, and I've never seen him on the front line doing anything. He's somewhere being educated. Living in a major house, and and why these fools don't see that Maxine Waters and others, they have been seduced. And they think that those thoughts and those actions are their own, and they can't even see how they're being used. It's so crazy, but that's what anger does. They don't see how they're being used because they have been seduced. And anybody who went to a business and applied for a job and made a promise to the owner of that business, I'm going to work 8 hours a day for you or whatever, for $18 an hour, whatever, and I'm going to come here and do my best. If they talk about their boss, they are evil to the core. They don't even worth being on earth. It's like someone, you didn't keep your word. And it shows that you're not a decent person. How are you going to talk about your own boss? Go to the boss if you have a problem. And I bet you they all said they're Christians. I bet you all those guys or people you listen to asked if they believe in God. Yeah, praise the Lord. Hallelujah. And so you have to be careful what you hear. It's evil. It's all spiritual all the time, and it's evil. All right? So don't get involved. If you have a problem with your boss, you go right to your boss and tell him about it. Ask him about it. See what's going on. All right? My tape is too high.
Is that voice still taunting you?
No, it's not taunting me, but it does come
But
and
you
try
do
to
hear
taunt
it.
to me.
Okay.
But I thank God, I know now that voice that speaks to me in my head that sound like me or sound like someone is not the voice of God and it's not my voice, so I don't have to listen.
So do you think that God would totally wipe that out, that voice from you, period, eventually?
I don't know. I just have to wait and see.
Okay.
You know, I don't think that far ahead. Take now because now is all you have. But Satan would want you to say, oh, I wonder if God is going to take this away from me one day. And so, but God knows what he's doing, and everything that's happening needs to be happening to you. So don't worry about the future and don't worry about the past. Just relax and take what's happening now. Yes.
I have a question about thoughts real quick. I noticed that sometimes at work, I can get a whole lot of thoughts coming into my head when I'm working.
Yes.
And then, and before I would just go into the restroom and sit still for about 10 minutes and go back to work. And most times I can see that, oh, you got all these thoughts, okay, just come back to the present, do your work. But sometimes I still need to go into the restroom and sit still because there's too many, and it seems like they're overwhelming me. What do you think about that?
That's nice to do, but you need to practice right where you are. Let's say you're working or you're talking to people and you're being overwhelmed with the voice of Satan. Just relax right there and let it go. I mean, it just all it takes is an awareness that he's talking to you.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Thank you.
Keep it very, very, very simple. You don't have to always run somewhere and sit down and do it because God wants us to pray without ceasing. So we have to practice being aware all the time. And that's what prayer is, being right here, right now with the Father.
All right.
Instead of lost in your imagination with your father, the devil.
Okay.
You could be at a meeting. I could be doing my radio show. If I get caught up, I let it go right away. You know, because I can't stop the show to go sit down somewhere and pray.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so practice that. Do you know yourself?
A little bit.
What do you know, in short, what do you know about yourself?
Well, I guess the main thing is I'm not my thoughts.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the major
right. You're definitely
point.
not.
Oh, one quick thing. Last night I was watching a movie, and sometimes I think, oh, you got to go do your prayer before you watch the movie. So me and my wife watching the movie, and so I just closed my eyes and just start praying right there. And I always think that when it comes to prayer, I need to close my eyes.
Oh.
What do you think about that?
First of all, when the voice say you got to go pray,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
a lie too. So when the devil said, you got to go pray, but it said, I got to go pray, right? Here you are watching a movie, and you're going to quit your movie to go pray? That doesn't even make sense. And then you're going to make your wife mad, you mad now, y'all going to go to bed mad. God is going to know where he's right there with you. You can pray when you get ready.
But a reason I think that way is because I kind of been taught you got to, at least pray before you go to sleep.
Right, that could be at any time. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're watching a movie, don't stop the movie. Oh, honey, I got to go pray. It's 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, no, let all that go.
All right. Thank you.
That's a good question, though, because I know what you mean. Satan's voice is the one that you can hear. God's voice, you don't hear it. It's revealed. It's like a quiet, voiceless voice. What was your question for me? We're right out of time.
What does pray without ceasing mean?
Always stand out of your imagination.
But what does a ceasing mean? Like, what?
Oh,
I don't understand.
like you're
yeah.
constantly praying without stopping.
Okay.
Always aware. Always right here with the Father all the time. So if you want to be free, if you want to be with your Father, you got to doubt every thought, everyone, whatever is telling you. And if you're going to eventually notice that the thought is never present with you, telling you about what's happening now, it's always telling you about what has happened and what's going to happen. Because it can't live in the presence of God. It has to have its own reality out there. It cannot handle. That's why Adam didn't. That's why Satan had to go to Eve and not Adam, because the presence of God in Adam was so powerful that Satan couldn't handle being in that present. So he had to go to Eve and look at us in a mess. And so when you doubt every thought, then you're in the presence of God and the power is with you. Satan can't mess with you.
Can I ask one quick question about Adam? I know that thing could not touch Adam, but even though he was so filled with that, what still made him fall? Even though he knew he had that.
That's a long story, but in short, he had to fall so that you can come to be born.
Okay.
Through your mama. That's why.
Okay.
All right. God was tired of making man with his hand. And so if you, the 14-year-old, if you don't want to grow up old and witchy looking and ugly and no man, you got to forgive your parents. You got to forgive your mother and your father. And especially your mother, because you're going to end up looking and acting just like your mama. And you don't want that, right? You don't want to be like your mother, right?
Well, I don't know what's like. I love my mom. Like, I don't have anything against her.
I can't hear you. Why are you speaking like that at 14? You don't love your mama.
I do love my mom.
Well, then speak up then. I always love my mama. But the point is that you got to forgive your parents. Are you living with your father?
No.
It's
my
just your
mom.
mother?
Yeah.
How you feel not being with your father?
I don't really.
You miss him?
No.
You wish he was there?
Sometimes.
You do? Why is it that you don't miss your father?
I don't know. I don't know.
But sometimes you wish he was there?
Sometimes.
It's abnormal for human beings to say they don't miss their fathers. They do miss them, they just don't realize it. Every human being yearns for their father, everyone. The father has something that the mother cannot give you, and that is that fulfillment of the soul and a bringing back to God. When you unite with your earthly father, you unite with God. The mother can't do that. They come from the father. Anyway, so you want to be able to see, folks. You want to wake up. You got to forgive. You got to stop hating yourself, your parents, especially start with the parents. And then that hatred will be gone for everything else. And then you can see what's going on. Our battle is a spiritual battle. It's not physical at all. It's not racism. Racism does not exist. You've been lied to.